Gary Anderson, you remember the Gare Bear?
I do remember the Gare Bear. I don't think he's coaching anywhere now. I think he's done.
Sitting on a bunch of money.
Not as much as he could. He had to.
Yeah. Remember, he was so kind to give it all back.
Sure.
Why are you laughing?
It's amazing what you'll give back in order to keep things out of the press.
What?
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. He just gave back that money out of the goodness of his heart. Was it like $12 million?
You got beefs. How about that?
Lots of people just give back $12 million for seemingly no reason whatsoever.
Good dude.
Shut up.
Oh, I don't know about that, but you know.
Man.
Yeah.
You're alluding to something. I don't know what it is, but
I don't know.
It's like those cryptic tweets athletes always send out to
I'm
drive you crazy.
I'm in playoff mode with LeBron right now. I'm gonna stop
shutting her down.
I'm gonna send out a cryptic tweet or two and then just shut her down.
What did he call his thing? It was like 23 Dark 30 or something like that. He had a whole media blackout.
By the way, thanks to Oregon State, would like to give them a hearty shout out here because that knocks LeBron's segment back another one.
There you go.
And maybe we can keep knocking it back until we don't even cover it.
Yeah, because we got a 2025 schedule now. It's Division I football.
Yeah,
it's Washington State twice.
The Beavers finished off their schedule. They're piecing this bitch together for next year.
I just this is a new one for me. Although it turns out this has happened before with other independents. I guess New Mexico State did this a couple times with one of their rivals, but it's the first time I've seen like a big boy football team ever do this.
They're playing. I think what you mean is they're playing Washington State twice
in the same month, which I find weird. Like it would make sense to me if you like opened with Washington State and then you closed with Washington State, but they play Washington State November 1st, and then they play Washington State November 29th.
Yeah,
Well, my.
I mean, whatever. Look,
I like that is your Rob's coming with a hot opinion of whatever.
It's not that big of a deal. I mean,
it's weird, but it's not a big deal. It's weird.
It's odd.
It's an oddity for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely an oddity.
Have you ever known any team not named New Mexico State to do this?
I feel like we have seen this a handful of times in like the Big 12 or conferences with conference championship games where you have, Big 10, where they play towards the end of the season. They play it right again like 2 weeks later or whatever, but not scheduled.
That's with a conference championship.
Right.
Michigan and Ohio State don't play November 1st and then play November 29th.
They should.
Wouldn't that be something?
People would love that.
Yeah, it's
what
like,
if every team like bookended a month of the season?
I know you loved the Iron Bowl, so I'm going to give you this, the Iron Bowl Part 2. And this is now their rival. You know, in the new Pac-12, this is their main rival, and I just think it's weird that you're playing them twice.
So here's what the schedule will look like next year for Oregon State. They will host Cal and Fresno State.
But it's a good schedule.
Right out of the gate.
I'm not crapping on the schedule. It's solid.
Those two games are good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you go to Texas Tech, another good game. Yeah. And then you're at Oregon. Those first four, good games.
A good game.
Then it gets a little weird. Well, weird. I don't like that term. It's just
random.
It's very random.
But like we talked about this when BYU went independent, you had a nice mix of some games that against Power 5 opponents that you got excited for, and then there were Lafayette's mixed in.
So they've got Houston at home on the 27th of September. That wraps up the September schedule.
Yeah.
Then they go to App State, then a bye, and then they got 4 straight homies.
Yeah.
Lafayette, Wake Forest, Washington State, and Sam Houston.
Yeah.
Followed by a road game at Tulsa, then a bye week, and then they wrap up the season at Washington State.
And the problem that you find, and again, this is what BYU had, is it's pretty easy to start the season with some quality teams, but once those teams get into conference play, it's hard to find teams that want to come play, especially out west, deep into your season. It's hard to find those games. Hence, you get Washington State twice in the month of November, because that's going to be the hardest time to find a team, which is why you have, Cal, Fresno State, Oregon, Texas Tech at the beginning, and no offense, but you got App State, Lafayette, Sam Houston, and Tulsa. I guess be grateful that Wake Forest was available at the end of October, and then, Washington State twice. And so I asked the question, if you're an Oregon State fan, and maybe the answer is I don't care because you're pissed, would you rather play Washington State twice, or would you rather play Washington State once, and then that other game would be Lafayette Academy of the Sister Mary of the Poor St. Agnes.
Yeah, I mean, they can reply in the Vancouver Fort text line, 503-864-6326. I would say that if you look at the 12 games, not the order that they're in, but if you just look at the 12 games, it's a pretty balanced schedule.
Absolutely.
I mean, but like you said, they have to front load a lot of those tougher games because those teams are all playing conference opponents down the, later in the season.
Yeah.
So it's actually a pretty.
It's not bad.
I don't know. It's not a bad schedule. I don't know.
Not.
I don't think it's a big deal that they play Washington State twice. It is very rare. As a matter of fact, they said this goes all the way back to 1945 is the last time that those two teams met twice in the same season, the year after they came back from the war.
Oh, okay. Well, so now we're just in, I don't know, we're in wartime mode. It makes sense. Like, you got to find games. And by the way, this will change next year, or I guess not next year, the year after that when you go into the Pac-12 because you'll have a conference to play. And it won't be hard finding a couple non-conference games, but this year, just it is what it is. This is what you have to do. And again, I could make an argument, while I think it's a little strange, I could make a solid argument that you'd rather play Washington State twice than one of those other, I don't know, again, a school that you've never heard of, which is usually what you have to play when you get to that part of your schedule.
Yeah, anytime you get a better game, it's better.
Yeah,
I think. And Washington State would be better than playing
it's
Sam
just
Houston.
weird. It's like you have a hard-fought game, and then it's like, man, if we can only get those guys again. Oh, you will in 3 weeks.
But you have plenty of cupcakes on there too. Well,
Yeah.
I say cupcake, just lesser games.
Yeah.
I mean, who the hell's going to show up to watch Sam Houston? Is that what it was? Sam Houston?
Sam Houston.
In November in Corvallis?
Well, what about Lafayette?
Oh. Well, but at least isn't that one a little earlier in is that October?
Yeah.
Because the weather gets worse.
It's in that same 4-game stretch.
Yeah, it's
I think.
October 18th. So is it really going to be a great day down at Reeser with Lafayette coming to town?
Look, none of them are great, but you got to have them.
Gotta have them.
So anyway,
Yeah.
there's Oregon State's schedule.
Yeah. Because I remember, I looked it up. One year BYU when we were independent, we played Utah to start, which was weird because that was our big rival. Then we got Tennessee at Tennessee, USC, Washington. That's a hell of a run to start the season. And then we get Toledo, and then we get Liberty, and then we get Idaho State, and then we had UMass. You make do.
Again, very balanced.
Yeah.
If
yes,
you space them out differently.
Yeah, you just can't. You can only play those teams at the beginning of the year, and then you got to schedule the Liberties of the world. And who knew Liberty would go on to, kind of do good things?